Hey my people, I am Chin and this is Moving Around the World. Today we are talking about moving to New York City in 2026 and what you can actually expect if you are an average person with an average budget, a normal job, and a big dream, but you still want the truth. I am not here to convince you to move or to scare you away. My goal is to give you clarity, context, and a realistic picture so you can make your own decision with a calm mind. New York City feels like an entire world packed into one place. It can be thrilling and overwhelming on the same day. The first thing you learn is that the city will always move faster than you, and that is not an insult, it is just how it is. The pace pushes you. The noise wakes you up. People walk like they are late for everything, and at first, your body feels it. Some people arrive and fall in love within a week, and some people arrive and want to leave within a month. Both reactions are normal. What changes everything is how you arrive and what expectations you bring. In 2026, the hardest part for most people is not the city itself. It is the cost of entry. Rent, the deposit, the first month, moving costs, transportation, eating out without realizing it, and all the small expenses that become a big hole. If you come with a fantasy that everything will line up the moment you arrive, you might get hit emotionally. If you come with a flexible plan and you accept that the first months are about adjustment, the experience changes completely. I want to walk you through the realistic journey. The arrival, the first job, the first spot where you sit down and send applications. The first apartment scare. The first time you feel lonely in the middle of millions of people. And the first time you say, "All right, I understand how this game is played." Stay with me until the end, because I will leave you with a simple way to think about this move without romanticizing it. And if you are considering New York, comment your situation, where you are coming from, and what you are looking for here, because I read everything. When you move to New York, the city teaches you fast that surviving and progressing are two different things. You can survive with any job, any tiny room, any improvised routine, but progressing takes strategy, patience, and humility. In 2026, the rental market still feels like a fight, and not always a fair one. So you need to arrive mentally prepared before you arrive with your bags. Most people do not land in the perfect apartment right away. A lot of people come with a sublet plan, a room for a month, a friend's couch, or something temporary while they look for stability. And here is a truth people do not always like. In New York, temporary can last longer than you expected. You come for 2 weeks and it turns into 2 months. Because getting a stable place depends on paperwork, timing, luck, and how fast you can move when an opportunity shows up. Sublets can be a blessing because they let you enter the city without paying a massive upfront hit. But they can also be risky if you deal with the wrong people or if the building has strict rules. My real-life advice is to act like an investigator. Check the person, check their story, check if things make sense, if they pressure you hard, if they rush you to pay, if they get weird when you ask normal questions, that is a sign. If they cannot show the place clearly, if you cannot see the real room, they cannot explain what is included, that is another sign. Then there is the formal rental process, the full application situation. New York can feel like a speed race. If your documents are not ready, the apartment is gone. People apply at the same time. Having a plan matters more than having a dream. And do not let anyone rush you into signing something you do not understand. It can feel like you are losing the opportunity of your life, but a bad lease can cost you months of stress. Now let's talk about work. Because in New York, one thing is having dreams and another thing is having income. A lot of people arrive thinking the hardest part is getting a job. But the truth is, the hardest part is getting the first job that helps you survive while you chase the job you actually want. In 2026, the job market can feel crowded, and if you apply from outside the city, sometimes nobody answers. That does not mean there are no opportunities. It means you have to move smarter. I learned that in New York, you do not always start where you want. You start where you can. and that does not define you. Sometimes you take an early shift job, heavy hours, a manager you do not love. But it puts you in the city, puts you in the system, gives you a paycheck, gives you references, and opens doors you did not even know existed. This city rewards the people who can handle the beginning without losing the vision. Something else that changes everything is community. People throw around the word networking like it is magic, but it is simpler than that. Meeting people and being a solid person opens doors. Not fake, not for attention, not for gain, just by showing up right. You work well, you show up on time, you help, you speak with respect, and someone remembers you. One day that person says, "Hey, they are hiring over here," or "My friend needs someone," or "Let me introduce you to somebody." New York works like that. You also need to understand the daily routine logic. A coffee shop becomes a place to apply for jobs. A grab-and-go spot with Wi-Fi becomes your office. A park becomes the place where you breathe when you feel like everything is too much. That is real. In the beginning, you can feel like a tourist with responsibilities. Everything looks exciting, but inside, you are calculating every step. In 2026, if you do not have a professional online presence, you are behind. Having your profile clean, knowing what you are looking for, and being ready to learn fast makes a difference. And being willing to accept that the first job is not the ending. It is a bridge. A bridge is not where you live. It is what you cross. If you arrive expecting everything to be perfect, you get frustrated. If you arrive with a bridge mindset, with a building mindset, then the city becomes a tough teacher, but a fair one. And when you start understanding that, you feel less lost. Let's talk money, because this is where a lot of people break. New York does not drain you only with a big expense. It drains you with small, repeated expenses. A quick sandwich, an extra ride, a meal you did not plan, a late-night order because you are tired. And by the end of the week, you ask yourself how it added up so fast. In 2026, what saves you is not being rich. It is living like someone who is building. Here is the realistic first rule. If you come to New York thinking you will live alone right away on a normal salary, that can be hard. It's not impossible for everybody, but hard for most. Having roommates is not a defeat, it is a strategy. When you see it as a strategy, you drop the mental weight. Because a big mistake is comparing yourself to people who have been here for years. People with strong salaries, people with stability. You are starting over in a city that charges a lot for the right to start. Another game changer is learning to shop and eat like a local. Eating out every day is a trap. If you can cook simple meals, even basic stuff, your wallet feels it. And when your wallet can breathe, your mind can breathe. There are ways to save without feeling punished. You can find places that give solid portions. You can use cheaper markets. You can look for deals. You can walk more and spend less when the weather allows it. Small things add up. Entertainment can also drain you fast. But here is a beautiful truth. New York also gives you a lot for free if you know where to look. Parks, events, museum days, libraries, community activities. Walking through neighborhoods that feel like you traveled without leaving the city. The city can cost you a lot, but it can also feed your soul without charging you. And let's talk about the entry costs, because people miscalculate them. You do not just pay rent. You pay to get set up. Home basics, transportation, clothes for the weather, and time. Time to find work, time to adjust, time to stabilize. That is why I always say, bring more cushion than you think you need. That cushion is not only money, it is peace. It means one weird week will not knock you down. New York forces you to learn personal finance even if you never cared before. And if you learn fast, the city can reward you with opportunities you cannot find in many places. But first, you have to survive the training. Now we get into the topic everyone mentions, but not everyone explains honestly. Safety. In New York, there are areas that feel calm and areas that put you on alert. The most important thing is understanding that your safety is not only about numbers, it is about your routine. The hour, the street, your awareness, and the small decisions you make every day. I am not here to fearmonger. But I am also not going to romanticize. New York teaches you how to walk with presence. Presence does not mean aggression. It means awareness. It means looking around. It means not being disconnected from the world while you are outside. It means protecting your phone in crowded places. It means having a plan when you go home late. Simple things, but real. This city is full of good people, but it also has weird moments, and when you are new, you do not recognize the signals. That is why my advice is to be more conservative in your first months. Not fearful, just smart. You learn the terrain. Over time, you learn what feels off. You learn when a subway car feels strange. You learn when a street is too empty. You learn when it is better to cross the street without making a scene. You learn there is also the reality of small theft. Not movie crime, but quick grabs, distractions, people taking advantage of carelessness. That is why it helps to have your payment ready, your card set up, your phone configured, and keep moving. The less time you stand around searching for things, the less vulnerable you are. And I want to say something clearly. You are not alone, even if you feel alone. The city works better when people look out for each other. If you see someone needing support, sometimes the difference is presence, noise, attention, asking for help. Not playing hero, just not ignoring people. Moving to New York in 2026 means using your head. Head to enjoy it, and head to protect yourself. The city has magic, but magic does not protect you if you disconnect. When you learn that balance, you feel more free, not more anxious, because you know what you are doing. Now let us talk about what people do not put in the budget, but ends up being the heaviest thing. The emotional side. Moving to New York can be one of the most exciting experiences of your life, but it can also be one of the loneliest in the beginning. And it happens even if you are social. It happens even if you have plans. It happens because you are in a city where everyone is busy surviving, and building a circle takes time. There is a scene I always imagine. You are in a park, surrounded by people. You hear laughter, you see couples, you see friends, you see life, and you still feel like you are watching from the outside. That happens to a lot of people. The key is not taking it as a sign that you failed. It is a sign of transition. It is your mind adapting. In New York, loneliness can hit harder because the city does not stop to comfort you. You can have a bad day and the subway still runs. The crowds still move. The noise still stays. That is where you learn to build anchors, your favorite spots, your walking route. A coffee shop where they recognize you, a library, a gym, a class, volunteering, something that makes you feel like you belong. And here is a beautiful truth. Many people who stay long enough reach a breaking point and then a turning point. First, you break a little. You cry, you get frustrated. You say this is not worth it. Then one day, something small happens. You meet someone. You land a better job. You find a room you actually like. You discover a neighborhood that feels like home, and you say, "All right, I get it now." That moment does not always arrive fast, but it often arrives when you keep moving. It also helps to say yes to simple plans. A coffee, a walk, a small event. Not everything is nightlife. Not everything costs money. It is presence. And in a city that moves fast, presence creates friendship. And remember why you came. If you came for a trend, you will burn out. If you came for a goal, for a life chapter, for an adventure with purpose, you find strength when the day gets ugly. I will not promise New York will make you happy all the time. But I will tell you that if you allow yourself to go through the process, this city can transform you. It makes you stronger, sharper, clearer about what matters. And that, even when it hurts, is worth it. Now, let's get into the real-life side of New York, the stuff people only understand once they live here. The city is expensive, but it also gives you tools if you know how to use them. Not everything is about earning more. Sometimes it is about playing smarter. One powerful tool is learning to move like a resident. That means knowing options, knowing where to shop cheaper, knowing when to walk, knowing that New York is not only Manhattan. A lot of people think New York is just Manhattan, and they miss neighborhoods and experiences that can completely change their life. When you expand your map, you expand your quality of life. Another tool is a system mindset. If you want a better apartment, you protect your history. You pay on time, you keep records. You stay respectful with management. Not to be everyone's friend, but because when you need something, being reliable matters. In this city, reliability is currency. And let's talk about paperwork and caution. People move fast here, and sometimes they pressure you. They send documents, they ask for information, they ask for payments, and if you are not careful, you walk into a problem. So protect your data. Share only what is necessary. Stay organized. Save everything. It is boring, but it saves you. Then there is community. New York has communities for everything. Your language, your culture, your hobby, your career, your interests. Even if you are introverted, you can find a place where you fit. Sometimes it is a small group. Sometimes it is a weekly activity. Sometimes it is just one friend who turns into your people. But when you find that the city becomes less harsh, and I want you to hear this. Moving to New York in 2026 is not just moving cities, it is moving mindsets. You learn to make decisions with less emotion and more clarity. You learn to say no. You learn to protect your energy. You learn to celebrate small wins, like getting that first decent room, getting that first raise, paying rent without panic, having a calm Sunday without guilt. Those are real wins here. If you are willing to learn the game without losing yourself, the city can give you a chapter you remember for the rest of your life, not because it was easy, but because it was yours. All right, my people. To close this out, I want to leave you with a simple way to think about this move without romanticizing it, but without killing the dream. New York in 2026 is for people who want intensity, opportunities, diversity, and a place where everything happens. But it is also for people who can tolerate temporary discomfort. If you arrive expecting instant comfort, you will get frustrated. If you arrive expecting growth, and you accept that growth can feel like chaos, you are in a stronger position. What you can actually expect is this. The first months are adjustment. You will spend more than you thought. You will walk more than you imagined. You will feel small sometimes. You will feel inspired other times. You will miss home. You will love a neighborhood. You will hate a subway day. You will have a moment where you wonder if you made the right choice. And if you stay, you will have another moment where you say, I am glad I took the risk. You do not have to be rich to live here, but you do have to be strategic. You need a flexible plan, patience, common sense, and you need to protect your mental health. You need to build your routine, your community, and your stability step by step. Now, if you are thinking about moving to New York this year, tell me in the comments what is bringing you here. Work, school, family, adventure, or a fresh start? I want to read your story because every story is different. And sometimes your comment helps someone else who is quietly searching for answers. If this video helped you even a little, subscribe to Moving Around the World so you do not miss the next episodes. Share this video with someone who has told you they want to move to New York, and hit like so the platform shows it to more people. I am Chin. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and I will see you in the next one.